Sometimes, it's appropriate that hardcore gamers like me extend something of an olive branch out to the casuals of this world. Recently, Audible Welshman put out a request for messed up save files that he wants to fix. When I see a challenge, I often accept. Although this was not an out-and-out challenge, I've chosen to take it as such for no reason beyond the ultimate goal of creating content. I've assembled a pretty tough save file, although not something impossible. This is intentional. I do not want to present Welshman with an impossible save, only a difficult one. So, with the premise presented, let's get into the save, the journey to create it, and the difficulties Welshman will have deciphering it. I decided to start off in Georgia as a non-custom character just because I rarely see this region get play, and I see a lot of opportunities to create a strong save and then to throw it away. Georgia is an interesting region in that you are sandwiched between many powerful enemies with limited options for expansion. The Byzantines to your west could make for a good liege, but that's too easy. The Seljuks to the south are an absolute powerhouse, although prone to falling apart. And to the north are mostly useless tribal lands full of raiders who love to crest the Caucasus Mountains when you least expect it. Besides that, you've got the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea. There's truly no escape. Nonetheless, the Georgians do have something going for them: the Manaspa. These Caucasian wolves are absolutely a god tier. Cavalry with bonuses in mountains, actually insane. We're going to be making use of them in order to gain some power for ourselves. Essentially, the game boils down to playing a regular game of CK3 and then doing a few things to throw it into chaos. Let's get into the initial strategies to create this Georgian kingdom. Please win. We start off as a pretty good character, and with the opportunity to grab a lot of domain via the Duke of Tau Clargeti. He's a man of our family, and we can easily win against him in a civil war using our superior martial score. This is the first step for us: get all the domain. Once we've got it, we build it up a bit, and just focusing on making some money while we wait for the Seljuks to collapse. It's a classic strategy. While Alparslan is still alive, we basically have no chance to win. We can try to pick off some smaller Muslim rulers in eastern Georgia through holy wars, with the risk that larger Muslim powers might join in, but since they have only one county, we likely can occupy them before anyone else gets there, so it's a pretty safe bet. We're not going to bother conquering to the north, since tribal vassals will mostly be useless. They tend to just want to rebel and don't contribute much to the realm. Maybe it would have been a good idea to bring some tribal vassals in anyway, though, for the sake of challenge. Oh well, too late now. As I conquer more land, I'm giving it away to mostly Georgians because we're going to construct a culture that will be extremely difficult to rule over. At one point, I had enough prestige to reform Georgian culture, so I added strong believers. Normally, I don't like this tradition much, but for this challenge, encouraging religious intolerance is exactly what we need to do. You'll see the plan as it all comes together soon. For the most part, we sit and build, but wherever there are opportunities to expand, we take them. In one case, we grabbed Azerbaijan, and now we can start getting acceptance with Persians. We're doing this because later on in the run, we're going to want to hybridize, although it doesn't matter what we hybridize with. Our big break comes when the Seljuks collapse. This opens us up to conquer most of Daylam and the rest of Armenia. I'm not going for a blob campaign here, so we basically just conquer a little bit around here and establish our Georgian kingdom. Eventually, we also do hybridize with the Persians and add more or less whatever we want, but we keep a slot open so we can reform and add in Bound by Faith. This further increases the negative opinion of other faiths and makes it difficult to inherit land from vassals of this culture in the future when we mess with the religious cohesion of the realm. Once we've made our new Iberian culture and conquered a pretty significant landmass here, it's time to start throwing. At this point, it would be very easy to create a massive Georgian empire, but that's not the goal of this run, so let's get to the throwing. First of all, I want to convert to a new religion which won't be well liked, namely Zoroastrianism. We're going to be making our own faith later, but for now we'll convert to Mazdeazda. The only problem is that we don't have a whole lot of piety to do it, and we're going to need some modifiers to make it happen. There's a building over in Wiltshire, Stonehenge, that we can use to reduce conversion costs, which is great, but getting there is a bit of a trip. Nonetheless, it is a trip that we must make. I first fabricated on Pereislav using the sanctioned loopholes perk, then went to Danzig, and finally to Wiltshire. These wars were easy since my realm was powerful and rich, and our Manaspa units were absolutely insane. By holding Wiltshire and having the apostate perk alongside the 60 slowing that I had, I was just barely able to convert to Mazdeazna. The only problem is that I also want to make a new faith, and my man doesn't have much life left in him. I also don't want my vassals to convert to the new religion. I want them to hate me so that they did not follow me into this new faith, but the problem is that they all like me a lot, and my learning is extremely high. Doubly so, I want to create a hybrid culture that none of my vassals convert to, so getting everyone to hate me is important for this strategy. The best solution I have to that is making everyone hate me by grabbing up new domain that puts me over my limit. I went off to Persia and conquered some new land. I also made some duchies that could put me over the duchy limit. Despite all that, my immense learning skill made it hard to get people to not convert, but it did help make the majority of vassals not convert. With everyone hating me now, I created the Ottawan culture in reference to the very subject of this video. Much like his viewers, this culture has no traditions or meaningful use. Don't hurt me, it's just a joke, please. We're both Canadians, we're friendly, okay? No drama. I'm just joking around. With the culture created, we first put down some rebels that are upset about our conversion to Mazdiazna earlier, and then it's time to create a new faith called Ottawan, once again in reference to the video subject. My idea with creating this new faith was to make it fundamentalist and cannibalistic. Remember that being a cannibal makes most people hate you a lot, except if you have ritual cannibalism, in which case everyone loves you for it. The only problem is that people who aren't of our faith will not care about our ritualistic flesh eating. If we can make this new faith and have the majority of vassals not convert, then we'll be especially hated since the Iberian culture we made earlier has strong believers, and bound by faith. I was only barely even able to pull this off, as my character got his 1-year death warning and I was a little low on piety. Luckily I was able to pull it off with only some vassals converting. When your learning is as high as mine, it's almost impossible to make everyone not convert. Either way, having a mixture of vassals means no one can ever be happy. From there, the king died and his land was split equally amongst his sons and daughters. This by itself immensely crippled the realm, since suddenly the king's income went from quite good to abysmal. This is where the biggest throw happens. I gave away the rest of the domain except the mountain county in the north. Now there are several family members ruling most of my old built-up domain who all have claims to the throne. They're also the only ones who share a faith with me. Most vassals are Mazdiazna or Orthodox, while I'm Ottawan, and well-hated too. I have no cultural traditions to help make ruling easier, and my men-at-arms are prohibitively expensive. I then swore fealty to the Byzantines, offering high taxes and high levies. I then modified the contract further by offering extortionate taxes in return for coinage rights. That .3 development in the capital will surely be useful in the face of imminent civil war, right guys? Surely. I sapped my prestige by continuously hiring and firing my court physician, as well as marrying mostly useless random fan members to prevent meaningful alliances from happening. At this point, as the cherry on top, I started a civil war by trying to imprison a vassal. So, this is the save now. Let's go over the challenges Welshman will face and then present him the save file. The current situation features a pretty wide set of problems. Firstly, no effective domain and extortionate taxes. This means income is minuscule, as well as having a hostile liege. Secondly, debt and a civil war. The obvious solution is to delete men-at-arms, but without the men-at-arms, how could you win the war? Interesting problem. Third, a ton of intolerant people that did not like the current religious choices of the king. They'll probably try to overthrow the monarch or dissolve the realm, but if that happens, the realm gets even weaker. Fourth, no viable routes of expansion. Because I'm a vassal to an Orthodox empire, I can't declare any holy wars. Even if I could, most of the opponents around me are stronger than me at this point. Fifth, an entirely useless culture which has no traditions. Since we just made the culture, it will take some time before it can be useful to us. And finally, sixth, vassals from our family that want the throne and hold all the good domain. Getting that land revoked from them will be tough because they're so strong, although it could be possible. So, this is my challenge to you, Welshman. Can you save this file? I consider this file saved if you can have the following conditions fulfilled. Have maxed out men-at-arms, and maxed out court grandeur with positive income. This means you have to be a king or emperor so you can access court grandeur, by the way. Either be independent or have a non-hostile liege. Have only vassals of one faith. Be at peace and have an heir. And finally, have no factions except for peasants. They're always around, so that's okay. Optional bonus objective here is if you stay both Ottawan and Ottawan throughout the whole challenge, then you'll get my respect, and I'll record a short of myself expressing my fealty to you, which you can feel free to use as you wish. Have at thee, my friend. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do. If Welshman does make a video about this file, I'll make my own video about how I'd save it as well. Thanks for watching. Consider liking and subscribing. Check out the Twitch, check out the Patreon, scroll down. You guys, you know the whole call to action thing. I hate doing this. Alright, I'm doing it because I have to, not because it's a good idea, not because I enjoy it, okay? Just scroll down and look at the links, okay? That's all I'm saying. Okay, that's the end of the video. Goodbye. That's probably going to be the end of the stream. Is this, now that we got the file ready. I'm going to go immediately get working on the video about this, and then we'll send the file over to Otto Welshman on my own time.